Okay, in this video today, we're going to continue the scaling your racket stringing business, and we kind of had an overview video, and then last week, or in the last video, we touched on upgrading your equipment, and I actually had some good feedback this week on different input from some members and some other uh, subscribers. And there's a lot of good machines out there. There's a lot of good questions on machines, and I think I'll probably continue this discussion in some more videos to follow. Just because there's so much information out there and there's so many different specific situations everybody has regarding what kind of machine, what's been working for them, what they're looking for, what's too much of a machine, what they really don't need. So we'll follow up on that with some more videos as well. But for today's video, we're going to talk about point number 2, which is building partnerships. So my name's Patrick with Racket Stringing Tips, and also Brad. We have him on, and he is part of the team here, and so he's got a lot of great input as a hitting partner and a coach and a racket stringer as well. So, all right, Brad, I'll let you start with this one, but I'll go ahead and just read what we're going to be kind of going over today, and then we can both just kind of chime in and give our input on this one. So number 2, building partnerships. So reaching out to tennis academies, regional tournaments, professional players for contracts, offering to string rackets for events. It's all kind of about building that long-term business partnership and giving you some brand exposure, you as the stringer, providing incentives for coaches, referral bonuses, discounted services in exchange for recommending your service to other players, to their players, and maybe sponsoring local tennis events, providing stringing service on site at those tournaments, and then offering your business cards or branded stringing bags as giveaway, or also some social media components as well. Because the whole idea is, how can you scale your stringing business from where you're at right now?
Yeah.
So, let's just take that first part, reaching out to tennis academies. So where I've kind of been, I'm not in part of the country where we really have a lot of tennis academies, but there are parts of probably the East Coast and maybe even Central, maybe Georgia, some other places that do have tennis academies. But I don't know, do you have any input on that?
Well, even in medium to large cities throughout the U.S., there are tennis programs within the communities, and a lot of times you're dealing, like here I am in Rochester, New York, and it's not a huge city. It's an average size U.S. city, small to medium, I guess, but we probably have 3 clubs, and each club probably has 50 to 80 juniors in their program. So now 2 of the clubs have a pro shop, with stringers and stuff. But I have a lot of business being a home stringer from people that are members of those clubs who walk by the pro shop to deliver the rackets to me. So you can do things to separate yourself and even be a little bit more inconvenient to get the rackets to, but the service you provide is so much better and superior to what they might have at the club, that you actually can do a great job. And so there are a lot of things that you can do to build partnerships, to build your business. And for example, I'll probably do over 900 rackets this year. Every year I've grown a little bit. I think 3 years ago I was at just over 600. Last year I was at like 750, and I'm on pace to be over 900 this year as a home stringer. And but my top 4 customers, I'll probably do over 300 rackets just for those 4. And the feedback I get from them is, God, it's so comforting to know that if I need rackets done in an emergency situation, I can count on you. And they can. There have been several times they've had to drop them off at 7 o'clock at night and pick them up in the morning by 8 a.m. to get to a tournament. They broke 3 strings late in the day. And it's not unusual, I'll always have good service for them. And so that stuff makes a difference, and it creates a tiny bit of stress sometimes, that, oh man, all of a sudden I got to do 3, 4, 5 rackets here after 8 o'clock at night. But it's also, it's great if you're looking to build a business.
Yeah, and if you live in a place that does have a number of tennis clubs, or just even a few clubs, or parks where they have a lot of courts and they're always being used, and they might have like an annual tournament or maybe a couple tournaments, those are the kind that are really good to get started with, because generally, I mean, some clubs, yes, they have their own stringers that maybe string at the club or in that little pro shop, but they're not always going to maybe be able to do the volume or be able to handle it all, or even have the equipment to maybe work at a tournament, or maybe even want to. And so you could come in, build a partnership with the club, or maybe the first time, maybe you're just helping out, say, hey, can I come just help at this tournament? And then maybe next time you can be on site. Sometimes you might not get a lot of stringing, but it just depends, because there are some, if it happens to be a large tournament, regional, some kind of sectional, or a junior tournament, a big junior tournament, those are always good, because juniors are always, snapping strings, right? So that
Right.
might be, and then you can be the backup stringer, because sometimes, there might just be too much business, and that way you can get it out a lot quicker. You could just be on call and maybe piecemeal it. You're just for everyone, and then give something back to the club, just so that you can get out there, and then you can give your business card, and even like offering grips and other things if the club doesn't have a pro shop, or if it's at the city, work with the Parks and Rec or something, and maybe be the on-site stringer at a local tournament at the like public courts and so forth, because those come around as well.
Yeah.
Especially in some areas where tennis is just really rampant, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how you can maybe leverage that.
Oh, I think we lost you. Are you there, Pat?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay. I was going
Um,
to say one thing that's worked for me the last couple of years is we have the girls' high school tennis that starts in the fall. So they just started a few weeks ago, and the boys' high school tennis is in the spring. But the last couple of years, every season, I send out an email with a one-page flyer that I did for all of the high school coaches in Section 5. And you're talking probably over 100. I mean, Section 5, where I live, is pretty large. It's from Lake Ontario all the way down south to the Pennsylvania border. And then, west to east, it's probably 80 miles. So it's a large part of New York. Some of them are too far away to get the rackets to me, but I offer a special where my normal rate is $20 plus the cost of the string. But for high school coaches, I will do a special for any of the JV kids or varsity who'd like to get a new string job. I include a basic synthetic gut for $20. And it always gets me 5 to 10 new customers each season. And granted, some of them are JV players, and they may not string it again until next year, but it's word of mouth. They tell their friends this and that, and so it's a nice way to get some business.
Yeah, because that's sometimes how you can get those juniors that just snap strings all the time, or the parent is trying to get them into some different strings, and they need some advice on, yeah, he's always breaking these strings.
Right.
That's when I look at hybrids, setting up a hybrid stringing for him, something maybe a little bit more durable, and usually top juniors are going to have 3, 4 rackets at least, and or trying different rackets, and so there's just more opportunity there. So if you can get in with the coaches, however you can do that, even like back in the day, I remember like the hitting events, like you would have maybe at the club that they would, whatever rackets that the club is promoting, whether it's Wilson or Dunlop or Babolat or whatever, and they might have like one of those special you know uh, events at the club, and then maybe you can be part of that and string the rackets there as well, and you just never know, but just being more visible in your community, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
um,
And knowing your business, like know your product, know the stringing, know how to sell it. So many times I've gotten business just from talking to parents at tournaments about stringing and what a difference a string can make, and how important it is to have fresh strings, and if you're having arm issues, how important it is to have a softer string and a thinner gauge string. And parents a lot of times really find it interesting and fascinating. And I'll hear over and over again, geez, I've never given thought to the string. But what you're telling me, it's hugely important. And then all of a sudden I'm getting business and recommendations. Well, what do you recommend? He's this type of player. He's, serve volleyer. He hits a lot of spin. He's had some arm issues. He's had a little bit of wrist tendonitis. So it's a great way to educate your client and customer also, or just educate someone who, because of your education, now all of a sudden they want to be your customer because you've just taught them so much that they didn't even realize they should know.
Yeah, and you really need to know, like you're saying earlier, you really need to know your string, and you really need to know the technologies and also the benefits of the different types of strings, whether it's polyester, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's a multi-filament, and what's out there, and what everybody is talking about and playing. You really need to be able to answer a lot of those kind of questions, and that's really how I think people will reciprocate that by having you string their rackets for them. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, um, so the next thing, okay, we talked about tennis coaches and referrals and giving discounts, and in exchange you get recommendations for your services from players. And yeah, that just snowballs. It's slow at first, but it kind of, starts picking up momentum over time. And just kind of know what's happening, at the high school level. Know is somebody stringing for the team? Is there any big tournaments? Are you in an area that has regional tournaments, or any satellite tournaments around? Because many times some of the public courts will be used for the satellite tournaments.
I think
You
they're
know,
called futures now. I don't even think they have satellites anymore.
oh
You're
yeah,
dating
futures,
yourself.
futures. Yeah, right, futures. You can
I
tell
hear
how
you
long.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all those type of things are going to be valuable, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's
And
there's a lot.
right, and sponsoring local tennis events. Well, if you can maybe, you know, um, have some promotional material, whether it's you're giving away maybe a hat or giving away a few things at, maybe they have a drawing at the tournament, or maybe the winners get a bag of, swag of different things. Maybe you can be part of that, or maybe get a bag that has your name on it, or you're willing to, for that tournament, even if you're not stringing it, you're maybe willing to, provide something of value to people and that has your name on it. And that might be, or even just having your ad on some of the visual marketing materials and stuff like that, might be worth it if there's hundreds of people out there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And also, just like Nike or Wilson or Head, spends millions on Djokovic, on Federer, on whoever the top players are. You also can, at your own level, take care of the best player in town. People love the best player in town. If you're stringing for the best player in town, all the kids that are training are going to know who that best player is. Wow, if so and so has them string their rackets, he must be a good stringer. She must be a good stringer. So you can offer them a discount. Maybe you charge everyone else $20 labor. Say, hey, I'll do your rackets for $10 labor. I'm trying to build my business. You're such an amazing player. I'd be honored to string your rackets. Make them feel good. Like, wow, this is cool. They're going to take care of me. They really look up to me. And all of a sudden, now you've got this great client, and everyone else kind of starts to like, hey, I want to be their client too. So that can make a difference in your own way. That's your own Djokovic. That's your own Federer. I have a couple of kids like that. Everyone knows them, and I'm their stringer.
And I think for a lot of players maybe coming up, or they like to have the right equipment, they like to look like they're a player, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
might be at that point where they're getting better, or they're at a lot of tournaments, things like that. And so if you were able to have some string, we're talking a little bit about branding, right? So those bags that have your logo on it, and
Yeah.
something that just says stringing, and provide that for some players.
Yeah.
Maybe some people that you have that you're stringing rackets for, that that are playing in that tournament. Provide those bags, and other people on court are going to see them. Like, oh wow, where did you get that? Where? Oh yeah, well I got my racket strung, and he takes care of this, and it just looks professional. It's not. Um, Nowadays, I mean, we kind of have to be careful with using plastic, right? But there
Yeah.
are bags now that are biodegradable,
Yep.
right? I think we
Cheap too,
talked
like
about that
25
before.
cents a bag.
Yep. And I think we talked about that before.
Yep, I have those. And matter of
Yep.
fact, I use them. I have a client this year, a new client who uses natural gut full bed. His son also, and I've probably already done 6 rackets for him this year. And when he picked them up, I had put his rackets in one of those biodegradable bags with my logo sticker on it.
Mhm.
And he was blown away. He loved that. He felt like a professional player. He said, "This is amazing." He said, "I've been going to this other place. They never do anything like, so
Yeah.
it was really, really nice. So some people may not love them. I always use them if it's raining. It's raining today. I had someone come pick up some rackets. So I put it in the bag, and I always tell them, I said, look, I know not everyone loves plastic. These are biodegradable, earth friendly, and you can use it for your sweaty shirt after your match or whatever. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I mean, it's at professional tournaments, it's always been kind of a mix.
yeah,
There's enough people that kind of, I think it depends on who the main sponsors and promoters are, and how they really feel about it. Some tournaments have done away with them,
well, yeah.
but they're still out there.
Well,
And
the U.S. Open
if they
did
had
7,000 this year. That'd be 7,000 bags. We're just a mom and pop.
Yeah, exactly, right. And some of those bags, they come in handy because they end up being, for dirty laundry, or
Yeah,
or just they just use them for other things and stuff. But yeah, it's just a way to get your name out there and stuff. And of course, putting labels on rackets. Do you still put labels on rackets, with your information on it?
I don't. I've had people ask, and their only concern really is that I know what they've done, and I keep a spreadsheet. I think I showed that to you a couple weeks ago. So for example, I have some clients have done over 200 rackets. I can easily type in their name, all their rackets, all the dates, the tension, anything notes or so. So I do keep keep tabs of that. Occasionally I'll use a label. Maybe if someone asks me, they'd like a label so they don't forget. But I also set reminders for people. They're like, can you remind me in 6 months? It's time to get a new string job, for older players who don't hit hard but want a fresh string every once in a while. So
I think it's a two-edged sword. Back in the day when I first started using labels, I just like was, oh, you got to have labels in there, and I was into like making them look really fabulous,
me
and of
too.
course they had to be high quality so that they wouldn't fall off, or it wouldn't get, the label wouldn't start to fade, and you couldn't see what you strung it at, and then I started to use butt cap. I started to use different ones on the butt cap instead, because I thought that worked really well. I mean, I know, on string at pro events, that's kind of what we were doing for a while, was on the butt cap, and just all those kinds of things. But then, I know on the other end of that, it's like, well, does it really matter? And then what happens is your competitor, if they take your racket to somebody else to have it strung, then they have all of that important information, and they're like, oh yeah, this is what I strung it at, and it's like, oh yeah, well I can do better. So it's like, it's almost better if you just keep it, like you were saying, you keep, as long as my clients know that I know what the tension is, what I've been stringing at, because you keep a very detailed log of everything that you do, and
Yeah,
all the rackets. And so it's really not necessary. It might be good just to have it in there as a logo, put a little
that's
sticker,
true.
put a sticker in the throat that has your name, whatever it is, for your business, and then it has maybe racket 1 or racket 2 or whatever, so that way you can distinguish which racket it is that you're actually stringing for somebody who has like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
That way you kind of can keep that in track, and then the rest of the information you just have on file. But that way, at least, it is that representation. People will remember, oh yeah, this is where I got, it strung last time. This is my, my go-to. So it could still be valuable, but you might not need all that information on there and so forth.
But you can, as you're saying, distinguish yourself. And for example, the guy that tested me for my MRT with the USRSA, he used to use a rubber band. So every racket he would string, he would put a rubber band. Most of his clients loved the red rubber band. He would always use red. And he said that whenever someone would see someone playing with a red rubber band, they would know, oh, Jeff must have strung that. Jeff must have strung that. Oh, there's a Jeff racket. So he became, Jeff the red rubber band. So you can do things like that. Maybe.
Yeah, another idea too would be on the grip. You know how you have the once you use the tape to secure the grip or the over grip, and then you have the little plastic sleeve that
Good
goes
point.
over it.
Yeah.
If you could make like branded ones with your name on it, and then you
That's
just
neat.
give that to everybody and it's just on there, or just it's a certain color, like you're saying, like find one that is a unique color, something that stands out for you and
Yeah.
that people will know. That might just be kind of something fun.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just
Separate yourself a little bit.
separate yourself somehow. And I think really, so kind of bringing this to a conclusion here, building partnerships, you have to get creative. These are some general things that I think work over a wide variety of different types of situations you might be in, whether it's clubs, whether it's public courts, whether it's certain regions in your part of the world or your part of the country. Things might operate a little bit different. You might have some other inroads, but just start thinking about how can I build partnerships with others so that my network can grow just organically or just kind of automatically without, me having to spend a lot of money. So it's like you're having other people really helping you out. So how can you make that work? So I think we came up with a couple good ways of getting that idea started and to kind of think about it. And if you have any questions, just leave us a question or comment once this video posts, and we'll get back to you. And pretty soon we're going to also have kind of a membership where people can ask any questions, and we'll be available all the time to be a support for everybody. But I hope this was helpful. Any last thoughts, Brad?
No, I think that was great, and you do get some listeners who provide comments and feedback. So if they have anything that's worked for them that we didn't mention, it'd be kind of great to read them in the comments also about some
Yep.
things that have been successful for them.
Yep, and this is all part of scaling your racket stringing business. I think these are strategies that work, and hopefully this was valuable. Please leave a comment, share this material, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Pat.